and welcome to our Logan City Council Elections Town Hall today, hosted by the Utah Statesman with the GRC. This town hall is streaming online at aggiecast.usu.edu, and you are listening at Aggie Radio 92.3 KBLU LP Logan. My name is Kate Keith. I am the news editor for the Statesman here on campus. I'm a senior studying journalism, and I will be kind of hosting this event today, and I'm here with our two moderators.
Hi, I'm Leah Cole. I'm a senior studying print journalism, and I'm the managing editor of the Utah Statesman.
My name is Ronan Spencer. I'm a freshman studying political science, and I'm so excited that we're able to host such amazing candidates, and I'm excited to be a moderator.
This year, we have 6 candidates on the ballot for the 3 open seats on the City Council. All 6 candidates are here with us today. We have, from left to right, Joe Needham, Katie Lee Coven, Mark Anderson, Aaron Bennett, Jeannie Simmons, and Mike Johnson. Simmons and Anderson are both incumbents in this election. Election Day is on November 21st, and a voting center will be open on that day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Cache County Events Center, located at 490 South, 500 West, in rooms 2 and 3. Mail-in ballots will be sent out to registered voters beginning tomorrow, October 31st. These ballots can be returned by mail or in person at the Cache County Clerk's office or at the Logan City Hall building. Before we start this town hall, I just wanted to remind you all that over here towards the front of the hub, we have some pizza for you, so please come and take a piece of pizza. We also have soda. Feel free to come grab a can of soda as well before you start to enjoy the event. To start the town hall, the candidates will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, and then we will go into the questions. The candidates will be asked 5 different questions and will have either 2 minutes or 30 seconds to answer the question. We will start now with our introductions, and we will start with Joe Needham introducing himself.
Thanks. Are we on? Hello? Can you hear it? Yeah? Okay. Thanks for having us here. I appreciate this forum for us to have a good discussion. My name is Joe Needham, and I am a resident here of Logan, Utah, and I live on the west side of Logan, and I see myself as an inner city kid because that's where I grew up. And but I have a wife and 4 wonderful children, 3 boys and a girl. And I've had quite a fun experience in life. I was on the city council over 15 years ago, elected as a young guy, and had a great time. Served for 4 years, learned a lot, which actually maybe led me later to. I live in a unique house. I live in actually an old warehouse that was built in the wrong neighborhood. It should never have been built where it was, and so I live in a zoning mistake. And so there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about zoning and its impact on our community. Also, I've traveled the world multiple times over, flown in the Dead Sea, been to Egypt, been to Asia, and have a wide range of experiences and of what great cities are made of and what horrible cities also have too. I went to school to San Francisco, but also here at Utah State. I had the privilege of living on Darwin Avenue, also at Oak Ridge, and so I know the lifestyle, the concerns that students have with parking and other issues that may come up. That is probably enough about me. Oh, I guess maybe one last thing is my name is in 2 places in the cemetery. If anyone actually ever finds the 2 and tells me where they're at, I'll buy you a burger. Yeah, so the 3rd time I have my name in the cemetery, it'll be for my own grave.
Thank you. And now Katie.
Hi, I'm Katie Lee Coven. I am the executive director here on campus for the Nora Eccles Harrison Museum of Art, and I love Utah State. I'm passionate about what we do here locally in the community and for our students and across the state. I have been in this position for 10 years, and I also live in the Hillcrest Lundstrom Park area, just east of campus, and chair the Hillcrest Neighborhood Council. Additionally, relative to students, I am very interested in growth and affordability and I suspect we'll talk a good bit maybe about that today with our questions. My husband is a professor in the Outdoor Product Development Design program, and we have a 7-year-old and a dog and a cat. So that's me, and I'll pass it to Mark. Oh.
I'm Mark Anderson, and I was born here in Logan, and went to school at Logan High, and also was excited to come to Utah State. So I actually have a bachelor's and a master's degree from Utah State. Spent a lot of time in Old Main and also in the Fine Arts Building because I was in the band. So I was in the marching band and also in the percussion ensemble as well too. But I always wanted to go to Utah State, and so I was glad to be able to get both my degrees there. Met my wife at Utah State on, of all places, a band trip to St. George. And we've got 4 kids. I've got 2 at Utah State right now, one in mechanical engineering and one in art and, let's see, horticulture as well too, and then another one starting in the spring semester. So we are all about Utah State. As you can see, I wore my Utah State shirt today because it's the only one that thought about it, apparently. So my wife and I own 2 businesses here in Logan, Anderson Seed and Garden and Logan Extermination. And so we've been involved in the community the entire time that we've been here. Had an opportunity to go and get a PhD and teach at another university, and we decided we liked Logan a lot better than the opportunities that were in front of us, so we decided to stay here. And we're very glad that we did. This is a great place to be. We love the city, and we love being a part of the city as well too, not as just business owners, but as a member of city council. I've been serving for 4 years, and it's been a great experience. It's been humbling. It's been a great experience to learn so many new things about the city that I never knew before, and to get to work with a lot of really great people on staff and the other members of city council. It's been a really great experience, and I would love to be able to do that again. So looking forward to the election. Glad I could be here. Thank you all for coming and for listening, and that's my introduction. Mark Anderson.
Hi, my name is Erin Bennett, and I was born and raised here. Oh, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for putting this on and taking the time out of your day, everyone here for listening to us, whether or not you wanted to, and all the people tuning in, listening. I appreciate your concern for what's happening in our community. Like I said, I was born and raised here in Cache Valley in Logan. I've lived here all my life. I'm fortunate enough to have bought a house in the neighborhood that I grew up in down on the southwest side of town. I have 3 children. My oldest is 27, and my middle child's 25, and then my youngest is 23. I also went to Utah State, but I had my son when I was only 19 years old, and so I tried going to college, and it just didn't work out with all my other responsibilities. So when I was in my 30s, I went to Western Governors University, and I earned a bachelor's degree in Business Information Technology Management, and then got a master's degree, an MBA. Professionally, I have done quite a few things. Currently, I am working as a business development consultant with a construction company. It's been a lot of fun, like basically designing his whole entire business. He had nothing, like no organization. He didn't even have his files organized on his cloud. So I'm doing all of that stuff, the human resources and master trade agreement. It's a lot of fun, a lot of opportunities for creative growth. I got interested in local politics because of my children and because of you guys. You guys are going to live here longer than the rest of us, and I see the trend and the trajectory that we're heading towards, and it terrifies me. I want to be a grandma more than anything in the world. I have my whole life. I love my kids more than anything. And I do not want any of my children to have children because of the current state of affairs. I encourage them regularly, do not have children. Because what kind of a world are we bringing our children into? What kind of hope do they have if we continue making the same decisions and trending in the same direction?
Time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. First, I want to thank you all for being here and showing an interest in local government. I'm Jeannie Simmons. I have 2 children, adult children who live in the Valley, and 7 grandchildren. So I'm very fortunate that way. And like many of you, I came to Cache Valley and USU for a short time. The beauty of this place captured me. I spent my career here at USU, learning about Utah and Utah State, and working with alumni across the country in fundraising, where history came alive in each graduate's story and memories. This is a place where people want to be, dream to return to, and cherish the memories made here. I have worked on the Historic Preservation Committee, the Planning Commission, and now on the City Council. I have the experience to get things done, from ordinances to neighborhood issues. The issues going forward are many. Our trail and park system must expand to meet the growing needs. Our infrastructure must keep up with our growth, and our finances must remain healthy. Affordability and livability are critical issues that must be addressed as we grow. We as a city must find ways to ensure that our community has safe and affordable housing. This is a huge challenge in the current economy. I pledge to continue to be actively involved in every aspect of Logan City in my next 4 years on the council. I want to focus on enhancing the identity and future of each of our neighborhoods. I will work to ensure affordability along with livability and lasting value in the projects that come forward. I'm also determined to put our natural and expendable resources at the front of the conversation about future growth and expansion, creating sustainable growth that preserves our rivers, streams, and wetlands, uses less water, and is mindful of our electric resources.
That's time. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the Statesman for hosting this. My name is Mike Johnson. I'm going to keep my intro short so we can get to the questions, because I think we'd all rather hear a little bit about that. But I am Mike Johnson. I have been in Logan for 13 years now. I met my wife here at Utah State. We both studied here. We currently live on the west end of town, clear out on the west edge. I love it because I can hear the cows moo at night and still live in Logan, but there are more mosquitoes out there than most parts of Logan. But we have been out there. We've owned our house for about 5 years now, and we have a 3.5-year-old son. His name's Jack. I own a small business doing photo and video production, mostly advertising for other small businesses, and my wife is a tax accountant. And so that's a little bit about us. The reason I'm running for city council is I'm in my mid-30s, so I'm 33, and I feel like I am acutely aware of the issues that are facing a lot of our younger generation. I have a lot of younger siblings, a lot of friends who are struggling to afford houses, to find jobs, to be able to make a life here in Logan. And I want to fight for them, and I want to fight for Logan to make sure that it's affordable, to make sure that it's a place that people can live, and a place that people want to live, and a place that is, for years and years to come, a great place to live, that is livable and a beautiful city. And we have a lot of issues. I think Logan's a great place, but we have things coming up, and I think we can work together as a team to make sure we address those. So I'm going to cut my intro there, and hopefully we can get to the questions.
Perfect. For our first question, we'll have, what do you believe is the main purpose of your position? And why will you be more successful than your opponent in fulfilling that position and that responsibility? We will start with Mike Johnson.
The main purpose of my position, I think the biggest thing our city council needs to do is they need to be representatives of our citizens. We need to listen to our citizens. We need to be a part of the community. We need to be out there talking to people, listening to people, engaged, and understanding what the issues are. I think making sure that we really listen and understand, and then we can take that understanding and take that to the experts that work for the city and make sure that we find a middle ground and everyone's happy and the city functions well. But I would say that the biggest thing is listening to and understanding our citizens.
As well, you guys have 2 minutes to answer these questions.
Would you repeat the question again?
Yes, of course. So the question is, what do you believe is the main purpose of your position, and why will you be more successful than your opponent in fulfilling that responsibility?
So, along with Mike, I believe that listening to and talking with our citizens is one of the most critical pieces of our job on the City Council. Another part of I feel a critical piece is to ask questions and not take things necessarily at face value, but understand thoroughly what the issue is and what our planned solution for that issue is. And I also believe we are an advocate for neighborhoods and businesses and individuals in the grander scope of a city council and the city itself. A lot of times people can't find their way through the maze that can become city government to find a solution to their problem, and I think that's one way that we help. I think that I am suited for that job. I've been on the council for 10 years. I ask a lot of questions. I know how the city runs, and I believe that I don't take yes for an answer or yes, we should do that. without asking a lot of questions and making sure that the neighborhoods that are affected are represented in the conversation.
So I believe that the main role of government in the United States, I'm pretty sure it was designated by the Founding Fathers to protect residents. So I believe that just as a neighbor, my primary role is to protect my community. As a elected official, my main role would be to represent, obviously, the residents of Logan City, the people who elected me. I think that I will be, I'm uniquely qualified for that because not only my professional experience with a master's degree and working and collaborating with the team to develop resources and solutions to problems. I'm really good at collaborating with people. I'm really good at bringing people together and communicating with everyone equanimously. And I also believe that my experience in 12-step service, I did a lot of that sort of thing, you know, collaborating for the benefit, for the good of all. That's all, yeah, thanks.
Ultimately, our responsibility is, since we are the legislative branch of the local government, is financial responsibility and also creating ordinances and laws to enforce problems that we're having. So we really have to solve problems. As a member of the business community, being on a number of boards for some larger corporations, I've had the experience to be able to learn how to work with people, to be able to create a budget, to stay on budget, to use money wisely. And it's a critical role as a member of City Council that we make sure that the money is spent properly. Every time we meet at City Council, we are constantly looking at finances and where money is going, and that is our sole responsibility on council, is to make sure that it's run financially responsibly. But there's a lot of times where we have to find solutions for problems, whether it's a new ordinance because we've got a parking issue. It's an ordinance because we've got different problems happening in the city. Those come to City Council, and so it's important that we know what's happening in our city. We are able to find solutions to those problems and work towards those solutions. It's not just one person running the show. There's 5 people on City Council. You can't just force things through. You have to be able to work with other people. And my experience in business and just being a part of the community, I've learned how to answer problems and solve problems for people, and that's a very important part of the job as a member of City Council.
So the role of City Council is to represent our constituents and to serve them to the best of our ability, to also be leaders. And as leaders, that means listening, it means problem solving, it means understanding how to interpret budgets, how to collaborate, and how to support the city infrastructure and staff to be successful in accomplishing the goals that we seek to do. And my role as a museum director, I support my staff, I problem solve. We collaborate both on campus and off campus, working with a variety of constituents, and ultimately supporting the mission of the university. And in the role of City Council, you're there to support the mission and purpose of the city in terms of thinking about the future, the challenges we face now, and what we need to do to problem solve and address those. So, yeah.
With an opportunity to serve, if I am elected, I plan to have a balanced approach. As I served in the past, we had many challenges that always comes to the city. It's not an easy job for those that serve in this position, and the 2 that we have here that are incumbents, they see challenges and fights every single day of trying to make Logan a better place. But when I was there, when it comes to budget, Logan City actually was for the worst time in Logan's history, was financially backwards. And and millions of dollars in the hole, no reserves had all been spent. And we actually found ourselves in a position where we had to fire our head accountant and bring on a new team. And also several years of struggling and holding back expenses in every department. But as a group, we came together and made a huge accomplishment. Within 2 years, we had $20 million in reserves, and Logan City since then has always been, it's been recognized as one of the highest financially sound cities in Utah. And, but that's just a small approach of what needs to happen. Right now, we're actually facing a new crisis, and it is the housing crisis. We haven't been building fast enough. We weren't prepared for whether this be COVID-driven or prices of materials. But we're in a challenge, and we don't have enough housing to house our students. We don't have enough housing for our residents that's affordable. And but throughout in my platform is to protect our neighborhoods and to continue to build upwards rather than outwards. I believe that urban sprawl is a bad thing. I'd like to preserve all of our fields in the beautiful valley that we do have and cherish. But it's things like this that I plan to do and have a balanced approach to every topic. But most and foremost, to always respond to my people that I talk to. Actually, since I've been off the council for 15 years, I had emailed the council several times on some land.
That is time. Thank you. Now we'll have Leah ask questions.
Oh, I start again.
Real quick, I'm going to make a quick interruption announcement. We still have pizza and soda over here towards the front of the hub, so please feel free to come and grab a slice of pizza or a can of soda. Those are for you that are all here in the hub today, so please come grab a slice. Thank you.
All right, so I've got 2 questions, each with a 30-second response. We'll start with Joe. Why is Logan City important to you?
Logan City is important to me because it is my home. Like I said, I'm an inner city kid. Recently, a 100-year-old mill was recently torn up out of the ground in my neighborhood, and it was kind of seen as a possible historic site. But for me, it was my playground. It's where I grew up playing in downtown Logan, and my businesses have been in downtown Logan. I walk there. I live there. What we strive for over the last 20 years in
That's
downtown.
time.
Thank you. That's fast 30 seconds. Thank you.
Logan is important to me because I think it's a very special place. And I think that many of you who go to school here recognize that it's a special place, and that's why you choose to come to Utah State, because of the campus and life experience that you have here. I have traveled around the world, and every time I come back to Logan, I think how fortunate we are to be here. And so we want to preserve that both for now and in the future.
That's time.
Logan's important to me because my family's here. Logan's important to me because my business is here. And my roots really are here. My family moved here in the 1800s, and this is the place that we love to recreate. There's so many opportunities here for education, for recreation, for business opportunities, and for family growth, and there's just no other better place in the world.
So I mentioned that I was born and raised here. I've lived here my whole life, and sometimes I feel like a bit of a loser living the same place my whole life, but every time I go somewhere, I see a really good friend. Every store, every time I go on an outing. So Logan is important to me because not only my family, but also my friends live here. And my friends are my family, and they have families, and I care about them and their families, and I want them to continue to prosper equanimously. The disparity between the haves and the haves not, and I have a lot of friends who are have-nots, and I love them, and they...
That's time.
Logan is a very special place. I came for a minute, and I've been here for 50 years. It is beautiful. We have a wonderful university. We have amazing mountains. We have the ability to recreate. We have a vibrant downtown and becoming more and more vibrant. I think it is a great place to call home and a wonderful, wonderful place to raise your children.
Thank you. I think Logan's special to me because it's home. And I think we've all said that. It's a beautiful place. It's a safe place. It's a good place to run a business. It's a good place to raise a family. It's safe. I love how small Logan is personally in geographic terms. It's easy to get around. It's easy to be a lot of places and be able to zip around town. It's beautiful mountains, beautiful area. But overall, really, it's home. And I will be here forever and raise my family here. And I love it.
All right, for my next question, we'll start with Mike. You will have 30 seconds. What issue will be at the top of your priority list if elected to this position?
I mentioned this before. Did I lose my mic? There it is. I mentioned this before, but I think, for me, housing affordability and access is going to be the top of my list. And we've seen in the last 5 to 6 years, especially in the last 2 to 3 years, that the price of mortgages and the price of rent have skyrocketed. It's unaffordable. Every statistic shows that it's getting worse and that it's incredibly difficult for people to buy homes. And I think it's important to buy a home and make Logan your home. And so for me, housing affordability and access will be number one on my list.
So I probably have two things on my list. One is housing and affordability, just as Mike has said. I believe that we need to create opportunities for people to invest in Logan. But in addition to that, I think we need to be very careful with our resources, our water resources, our electrical resources. We need to preserve our rivers. We need to preserve our wetlands so that they're there to sustain this valley in the future.
My main goal if I'm elected is to design systems where our counselors can be more effective. If you know anything about like human nature and social science and psychology and that sort of thing, what we currently have with no training, no parameters, no culture building tools is really designed to get what we have currently. There are a lot of simple business tools that we can implement into the Logan City Council and train our counselors.
That's time.
Remind me the question again. I just got distracted, so.
What issue will be at the top of your
Top on my
priority list if
I
elected?
actually have one big one. Sustainability. Sustainability is so critical for Logan. We've done a lot in Logan City to create a clean water environment. We have a state-of-the-art water treatment facility that's turning out the cleanest water we could possibly clean after it's gone through our sewer system. And then we're taking the solids, the biosolids out of that and composting it and making that available to our citizens. We need to focus on better ways to create cleaner energy so that all of our citizens can utilize that and maintain.
My top priority will be with housing and affordability, thinking about how the city can work more with the university to make some long-term solutions relative to student housing. Our growth and housing issues in the city of Logan will not be solved unless we can collaborate and work with the university.
The biggest thing that I see as a need in Logan City is the housing issue. We have not been keeping up to pace for the amount of apartments that are needed for student housing or for residential housing, and have not kept up with pace with residential growth. Unfortunately, we've been losing out to most of the valley as the valley keeps seeing lots of growth, and Logan City has been struggling and falling behind in that pace. We have areas that are zoned, I think, inappropriately when it comes to pushing for future neighborhoods. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I guess next question, huh?
Perfect. These questions will be 2 minutes each response. How do you plan to connect with and support the student population within Logan? And we'll start with Joe.
Let's see, getting student engagement and involvement. How we best do it. We discussed this in another debate we had where, we're not really sure if our information for city is getting out as well as it could. In fact, I guess that was also another community meeting recently where we're discussing that, we don't have email addresses or contact information for, just our populace, but including in the students. I could see more when we fill our utilities, a more welcomed opportunity to opt in to getting city information. And with that city information, there should always be feedback that's available for us as those serving on the council can be aware of issues that are out there. There are a lot of issues that face students here at Utah State. All the tall apartment buildings that have been built over the last 15 years were set in place when I was on the council, and then we changed the zone, that we'd allowed the high density for these housings to come in. Unfortunately, after I was off the council, when these projects were approved, they were approved with not adequate parking, and which caused a big challenge for Utah State students and the residents that lived around it. I'm for smart planning, and mistakes like that wouldn't happen under my purview. But getting students involved in hearing their voices, we can make it much more digital and much more easy to hear from them.
So as the museum director here on campus, we are regularly working with student interns, working with our staff to think about ways to communicate with students about things we are doing on campus. In my Logan City campaign, one of my interests is improving communications across the board with our constituents in the city, which includes our students. With the Hillcrest Neighborhood Council, I implemented working with the city to acquire a software where we could start sending a monthly newsletter by neighborhood, and we're just at the beginning of that. But I would also say with students, obviously collaborating with UMAC, with the Statesman, those marketing, doing the marketing and promotion on campus will help us better communicate about things that are important to students. One example of this would be, which we were discussing during a neighborhood meeting that everyone was in, the neighborhood chairs, is ordinances that sometimes students don't know about relative to renting, and if someone is compliant with that or non-compliant, and what the process is for even making a complaint. Many students don't even know what that process is, where to go. So there are things we can do better as a city to support our students who are renting locally, but we need to be able to get that message out. If I were to give a really short answer about improving communication, I would say having student interns and social media. So.
Good answer. I like that. There's a lot of opportunities for students to participate in local government, and a lot of times we don't invite the students enough. There's a lot of citizen boards that are run through Logan City, and these boards pertain to a lot of different opportunities, whether it's being on the library board or being on the forestry board or being a part of Parks and Recs. There's a lot of different opportunities in every department of Logan City for students to be a part of those boards. And I don't think we've pushed hard enough as a city to make sure that there is someone from Utah State that's representing that is a student. We have a lot of representation from professors and from people who are employed at Utah State, but not always with students. And I think it's a great opportunity for you to participate in local government, see how things work, see how Parks and Recs runs, see what kind of a budget they have to work with to make sure all those services that they provide are available to all the citizens. It's a great opportunity for you as students to be able to come and to participate and to be a part of local government and see how it works. That's how I started. I started on the forestry board, and I've been a member of the forestry board for 12, 14 years now, and it's been a great opportunity to learn how that works. And there's a lot of opportunities for students to be able to participate. And the more we do that, the more we'll hear your voice, and the more we'll be able to work together to find solutions that work for you as well as for the rest of the community.
So I there are a lot of fantastic community action groups in Logan City, not only student, but also just within the broader community. And one of my plans is to invite all of those community advocacy groups or community action groups into Logan City Hall, and even invite them to have their meetings in Logan City Hall or Logan City Library and get everyone, like all the interest groups together. For example, there are a lot of people who are really passionate about bicycles in Logan City, several different groups. So if we got all of those groups together, there is strength in numbers and they can become a lobby and have a stronger voice at the Logan City Council to advocate for whatever they're most passionate about. So what I will be doing for students, but also I will be relying a lot on your resources and your intelligence. You guys are really smart. I am the kind of person that likes to make decisions based on facts and data. And I would appreciate if you guys bring your facts and data to Logan City Council. The last time that happened, your civil rights were violated. I will not do that. I will listen to you. And I will do my very best to implement policies and code that will not only benefit you, but also your children.
Aim it toward you.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to pick it up and not make a mess. So students are a critical piece of the fabric of Logan, Utah. We wouldn't be who we are or what we have become without the student body. When President Cantwell did the opening at our last city council meeting, I asked her the question of how can we enhance the relationship between the town and Gown. It's always been, I worked in archives years and years ago, and it's been an issue since 1888, where there's been, sort of a tension between the two that shouldn't exist. We've developed some programs. I know some of you may have participated in the Bridge Initiative. We created an initiative that is a partnership between a professor on campus and a department in Logan that helps to solve a problem over the course of a semester or a year. And it has been very successful, especially in our environmental department. It has helped us create some rebates for energy-wise appliances and heat pumps and solar panels and things like that because of the research that the students were able to do. We encourage ASUSU to come and be a part of our meetings and to be a part of our conversation. And you all are welcome at any city council meeting. And we have a time at the beginning of every city council meeting for you to speak if you have a question or a concern. I am concerned that a lot of students don't know the code rules for rentals, and they're getting themselves in a situation where they are punished for something they didn't know about. We need to do a better job at getting that information out early.
That's time, thank you.
Thank you. I've done a lot of door knocking for this campaign, and I was out knocking doors on a bunch of student off-campus housing a couple weeks ago, and one of the questions I asked them was, how can the city help the students and the residents around campus get more involved? And I got a lot of great answers, but a couple of things that really stood out to me when I was talking to those students, and I think they were great answers, and I think it's part of my answer is asking students how we can reach out to them. But one of them was that the city needs a better comprehensive digital communication plan. For decades in America, we relied on radio and newspaper to get our information out, and we've kind of lost that with the advent of the internet and social media, and we haven't really figured out how we're going to fill that gap completely. And we try a little bit with social media, and we try a little bit with emails, but I think developing a comprehensive plan to be able to communicate with all our residents a little bit better. And there has been talk of the city recently, but making sure that that's implemented in a way that everyone can receive that information. And I think part of that is meeting people where they are, whether that's on social media or whether that's at events or whether that's their email inbox or whether that's neighborhood councils, but meeting people where they are and doing our best as a city to be at all of those places to educate and interact and listen to the residents. And the last thing that I kind of had on here was I think we need to do a little bit better to make a physical connection between our downtown area and our university. They are kind of a little bit separated by a couple blocks of not much in between, and I'd like to see a little bit more growth in that area in terms of mixed use and in terms of bikeability, in terms of walkability, and making sure that it's easier to get from campus to get downtown and from downtown to campus, and making sure that those two are a little bit more physically connected while we're also working on the digital connections.
All right, this next question will have a 30-second response time, and we'll start with Mike. And this is the final question. What initiatives do you plan on taking to encourage local businesses to adopt more sustainable practices?
What initiatives to encourage local businesses to adopt more sustainable practices? Ooh, that's a good question, and I love going back to back on questions. It makes it exciting on this end. But I think really encouraging our sustainability. I think Mark has done a great job of this and has touched base on it today, but making sure that our electrical grid is sustainable, making sure that our city services are sustainable, our water, our sewer, and making sure that our city is doing what it can so that when businesses are using those services, I think is one of the most crucial things that a city can do. Make sure that we're providing green energy and green waste and recycling where we can. Not providing the green waste, but cleaning up the green waste.
I liked green energy and green waste. I think to make businesses more sustainable, we need to give them options within the city proper, so that they have the opportunity to do water saving, they have the opportunity to do electrical savings. They work on a bottom line, so we need to find a way to make it a good idea for them to do it for their bottom line. Sustainability is also economic, and we need to support local businesses and local business owners so that they
That's
can be.
time. Thank you.
So in December of 2021, we codified a plastic waste management law into Logan City law, and so we're supposed to be charging 10 cents a bag for plastic bags right now, and we are not. So, and the students were really passionate about that. A lot of students came to speak on the issue, and we're just ignoring that law. So the first thing that I would do was implement the codified law and start charging 10 cents for plastic bags. It's law. We're supposed to be doing it.
There's a lot of things we can do to help with sustainability as a business owner. We've already implemented options for our customers to choose whether they want a plastic or a paper bag. And as we went through that process and created that ordinance, which was repealed, by the way, it's my turn to speak. I have 30 seconds. So we can find some new options. It's hard to coordinate with the entire county on plastics, and that's something I would really love to refocus
That's
on
time.
and do in the future.
All right, so in terms of initiatives that we can implement for sustainable practices, I think the city needs to come up with, and they have been working on we need to create some collective goals that we want to set as a city, and then work towards those goals. But those goals need to be set by listening to our constituents, listening to business owners, listening to our students, listening to people to see what they're willing to do so that we can create those
That's time.
comprehensively.
Yeah, well said, Katie. I agree. But along with that, a plan like that is ideal. We have the Renewable Energy Board of Logan City that has been making plans in this. When I served in the council is when we actually started net metering for solar panels on people's homes and businesses. Later, when I was not on the council, they took away some of the benefits, and I think that was wrong. I think if we want a sustainable future, the best thing we could do is put more solar panels on all those flat roofs that exist out there, and be able to generate power for their business and for the community.
That's time.
Thank you.
Well, that was our final question here today, so we are now finished with the town hall. I'd like to thank the candidates for coming out today. I really appreciate them taking the time to come and speak with the students. I also appreciate all of you coming out today to listen and hear from the candidates for city council elections. I just wanted to give a few quick reminders about the elections happening. Just want to remind you that election day is on November 21st, and a voting center will be open on that day from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Cache County Events Center, located at 490 South 500 West in rooms 2 and 3. Mail-in ballots will be sent out to registered voters beginning tomorrow, October 31st. Happy Halloween. These ballots can be returned by mail or in person at the Cache County Clerk's Office or at the Logan City Hall building. Also, for more information on the candidates, feel free to pick up a copy of The Statesman. We have answers from interviews we did with them previously inside that copy of The Statesman this week, and also there are videos of those interviews at usustatesman.com. Thank you all for coming out today, and we appreciate your time.